Good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to today's session. Like I was saying before, I just want to thank everyone for joining us this Sunday evening from the western part of Africa. And for those of us that are here, this is just our early afternoon. From wherever part of the world you're joining us, I want to say thank you so much for coming in. My name is Dr. Mercy Ubone Umeri, and today I have on the call Mr. Tunde Rema. I and Tunde will be talking about, what it takes to transition from one phase of your life to the other as a young person. Today we're talking to my young people. And for those of you who are just joining us, I had introduced myself earlier, but I'll just go on and introduce Tunde. Tunde, how do you even want me to describe you? Because your intersections, the places you intersect, you are a leadership coach, you are a life coach, you are a business, you do business processes, and you help systems. You are not just a mental health advocate, but you also preach mental health. And all of this also intersect with you as a person of faith. That's why I said there are lots of intersections with you, and you are also a young person, which is why I wanted us to have this conversation today. How can young people transition successfully from one part to from one phase of their lives to the other? Tunde, thank you so much for joining on this call, and I'm really happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, Ma. I count it as a huge privilege to be on this call with Professor Mercy. I'm really so glad and excited to see Boss Opashi.
Yes.
I'm so glad to see you on call. I'm glad to see all my loved ones and my friends on the call as well. I'm so happy to do this with Dr. Mercy. Dr. Mercy, thank you for inviting me on your platform.
Thank you.
This is a very beautiful evening in Abuja. I'm shooting from Abuja, Nigeria, and this conversation will be a very interesting conversation. Thank you so much for the warm welcome, Dr. Mercy.
You're welcome. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has taken out time from their busy Sunday to be with us. Sunday, I'll just go through. Let's start this conversation. When I was thinking about this, talking with young people, you came to mind because, like I said, you're a young person, but over time, I have watched how you have grown. You have grown things from scratch, and you are in Nigeria. And you're doing things with people all over the world. Your businesses cut across different time zones. I know sometimes and I work with you, I've worked with you as a colleague, and I've worked with you in business. I know I can testify to your work ethic and what you do. Before I go into statistics, because I'm a professor and I always have to start with statistics. In fact, let me start with the statistics first. According to the United Nations statistics, there are 1.8 billion young people in the world.
That's right.
Oh, you see, you too. I'm sure you've done your own. 1.8 billion people young people in the world, and of that 1.8 billion, 1.2 billion come from what they call developing countries. I really don't like to call it developing countries. I call us growing economies. So, African countries and some other, growing economies. And Tunde, that makes 90%. Are you listening to these numbers? 90% of the world population. There is no reason why we should not be paying attention to young people. And we're talking about people who are between, say, 18 to 26 years. And right now, there is a huge influx. Like I told you, I teach HR. So part of what we teach is also recruitment and people going into the workforce. There is a huge influx of young people in the workforce. So the first question I want to ask you, with this number, I know you work with a lot of young people. How have you been able personally to make the major transitions you have done in your life. How are you able to move from one point to the other? How did you pivot from one point to the other?
Okay, thank you so much for answering that question. So it's more like you telling me to tell you the story of my life. So I would share my personal experience really. So I think one of the first thing young people or anyone face will be indecision. So at first, I'll because I'm a creative with multi-skilled, that's one challenge you would see around with young adults, or not really young adults, with anyone really. But there is a percentage of people who are creatives. In other words, we are good at doing several things. So I've been in the show where people will come to me to say, you know what, I can teach, I can read. How do I put this in sync? How do I put this in harmony? So one good thing I've learned to do is to put in harmony all that I do so that people are not confused. So if you check my Instagram bio, you see leadership, lifestyle, and faith. Those are the three major components that I pay attention to. So back to the story of my life, really. So it started very early. I went to one of the best schools in Lagos then. It's called Bayjet School. Bayjet School. So we were exposed to learning English communication. We were exposed to movies. We were exposed to acting. We were exposed to quite a lot of things, these extracurriculum activities. So we were exposed to quite a whole lot of them. And I happened to be that boy that was good at everything. So each 10, we go to National Stadium to listen to the like of Feladro Toye. So in my head, what exactly are they training me for in this school? So I was good at doing, or I am rather, good at doing several things at the same time. And that became the source of my confusion. Prof,
Hmm.
it became the source of my confusion because when we now got to SS3, I don't know if they still call it SS3 again. So when we got to the graduating class, the senior secondary school graduating class, they asked me, what do you want to do next? My parents suggested I should be a doctor. My mom suggested I should be a doctor. My dad suggested I should be an engineer. My brother suggested I should be a civil engineer. Everybody, they were as confused as I am. So in my head, what am I supposed to do differently? I started looking for what to do, or maybe I should try this out, or maybe I should try that out. At the end of the day, I picked medicine. And guess what? When my WAEC result will be out, the only what's it called subject I don't have is chemistry, and you cannot do medicine
Yeah,
without chemistry,
without
right?
chemistry.
Cannot
Mhm.
do medicine without chemistry. So I started thinking, what do I do? Okay, let me try. Was it NECO or GCE? Guess what? I had A in most of my subjects, but the chemistry all cancelled. And they used to call me a Babio, if you know the chemistry textbook. If you
Yeah.
ask me any question in the chemistry textbook, I was that good at it. I teach other students. But till now, I didn't know what happened. So that was the first stage of my transitioning. I loved science. I'm very scientific because I love science. I love to make research. I love to watch documentaries. So I love to heal people. I love to do quite a lot of things at the same time. So when that happened, I've never shared this story before. So it's a bit unique. It's a bit
Thank
unique
you.
to
Thank you for
me.
sharing.
So when that happened, one of my, I call her godmother, she mentioned to me that I think you should try urban planning since medicine is not working. I'm like, urban planning is quite away from medicine. Why can't I try again? Guess what? I did try it again, and chemistry was cancelled.
Wow.
So in my head, are my village people following me, or what am I supposed to do differently? So that was the start of my transitioning. I listened to the godmother that I would do medicine, but inside of me
That you
was
would
the
do urban planning.
urban planning, but
Yeah.
inside of me was the purpose was calling me to help people heal. And I did the urban planning. And one thing I would like to tell everyone, while you transition, do everything to be excellent at it. So despite I was doing a course I do not like, I gave my best performance and I had award from year 1 to year 5. So I was
Wow.
the best student
I like what you
doing,
just said.
yes, I was the best student doing what I don't like, okay, but yet gave my best performance, meaning that we should always give our best performance, even in a worst case scenario. Every time, always give your best performance in a worst case scenario. That you are transitioning doesn't mean that you should take the current state shabbily. Sometimes it's a waiting phase, it's a pruning phase, it's a development phase, it's a phase trying to refine you. And that was what happened to me. So when I was done with urban planning, yeah, we have to serve in Nigeria. I had to serve, and then my med coach.
Tunde, before you continue, I just wanted to point out an important part of this story: the fact that you had someone, a mentor, who helped you in that state of maybe not confusion, maybe it was a state of you trying to find your place, but you had somebody who kind of helped to propel you. It was not something you wanted to do, but I guess because you respect her, you trust her judgment, you said, okay, let me try this. So I think it's important that in a transitioning journey, that we have people that we can bounce ideas off, with, or people we can run things through, or people we can just tweak their brains as we go on in this journey. Sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to bring
it's fine. It's fine. So fortunately, I was going in that direction.
Okay, great.
Good that you mentioned. Not a coincidence. Yeah. So when that happened, I saw a lacuna, like a gap. That means I actually need someone to help me through every phase of my life.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's a very relevant point. So when I got to Abuja to serve, I didn't know where to serve because, of course, they posted me in different locations. I was rejected. I said, okay, what am I going to do?
For those of my audience who are joining from the US, so the National Youth Service Corps in Nigeria would be something like the Peace Corps here in the US, where you are, transferred to maybe a different country or an organization to serve, to give back, so to say, to the community. Okay, continue.
Thank you for that. So when that happened, I was rejected in 2-3 different companies. One, because our values didn't align. 2, because they didn't want me. So I had to handle rejection, and that comes with transitioning as well. Sometimes rejection will come, but don't take it too personal, okay? I didn't look like what they want. So they rejected me.
We'll talk about that.
They rejected me. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I met coach. I've always remember I said I always attend training and events. So I met Coach Jeff in the training back then in Lagos before going for the service. So when I got to Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, when I got to Abuja, he mentioned that there is someone who is also doing what I do, have passion for mental health, business, emotional intelligence, and all. I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this information? He said, maybe you should try to serve there. I said, okay, let me give it a try. And when I got there, I was looking for, the mirror of the mentor I wanted, someone who is very, 100% all suited up, serious with life, taking things very firmly and all. And the next thing, he sent me to Boss Opashi. Fortunately, she's on this call. I doubt if she can even remember this, I doubt. And she just gave me a few advice in passing, but I took the advice seriously. And I said, okay, let me just sit with this organization and then serve with the organization. So I paid attention to every details in the organization. I was running the organization as though it was mine. So I didn't see.
Hold on. I need to, no, I need to unpack some things, please. So first of all, I'm really excited that your mentor, somebody who helped you navigate an important part of your life, is on this call. This is like mind-blowing. For me, I can actually just end this call now and I'll be very fulfilled. That's one. That is so beautiful. Then secondly, yeah, just put in the chat. She says she's trying to recall from her memory. That is so beautiful. So that's one, the fact that you cannot overemphasize the importance of mentors or at every phase. And I also wanted to say something here. You said while you were going through this phase of finding out, you were still going on training, self-development. So the fact that things were not totally clear, you were still investing in yourself. And I want to encourage everybody on this call. You know, sometimes when we're going through that phase, it looks as if sometimes for some of us, we're just trying to find lights, you know, like the light at the end of the tunnel. While you're doing that, you were still investing in yourself. That is so beautiful. And I also like the part where you talked about values, because sometimes when you were transitioning, it's almost as if we're in a place of desperation, right? So it's like anything I see, anything that presents itself, right? But the fact that even though you wanted a placement, you were still concerned that your values did not align with theirs at the same time. And I tell you, young people, you will face that. Even as I am here, I'm still facing that. Your values, you still have to keep your values no matter where you find yourself in your transitioning journey. So you can't
I'm loving this conversation.
You can't just be dropping gems and allow it to just go like that. No, we have to unpack some of these things you're sharing. Okay, go on.
Thank you for mentioning that. So my dad mentioned to me then, why don't you serve in Lagos? Why Abuja? And I mentioned to him that things work for people. And that's why till today, I don't want to know your situation or your case. I always try to find a fix for it. He said, why are you bothered about people, impacting people? Why not just focus on yourself, gaining more money and all? Because he's a very top executive in the shipping company. He's just supposed to write me a letter and I resume maybe 3 days after or 4 days after the medical check and all. But I said with my coconut head, I said, no, let me go, let me go to Abuja. I had to search for my flight money myself because it was not in support, all right? And my mom could only support through prayer, all right? So I got to Abuja.
which is enough so many times. That prayers will go a long way.
Anyway, maybe when you test the waters, when you try your best and it didn't work, maybe you'll come back to do the shipping that we've always wanted you to do, right? I'm like, don't worry, I won't neglect the urban planning I read. I won't neglect all the trainings and everything. I'll find a way to put them in harmony with one another. That was all I said. And I got to Abuja. My coach Jeff, who I met the training back then in Lagos, said, I think you should meet Coach Sam. I'm always Coach Sam. Like I mentioned, I was expecting someone very corporate, serious. And I got to the venue that very day. I just saw someone was just vibing to music in my head. Is this the mentor? This one is asking me to work with. What exactly is going on here?
My goodness.
And then the next thing he offered me ice cream. I'm like, I'm not here for ice cream. Let's just go straight into.
This is so funny. This is so funny. So, Coach Sam is my friend. He was the first person I featured on this series. Hearing this is so funny.
We had conversation. He asked about what I was doing. I recall then I was partnering with a friend in China and US. We had a community called Mind Cure. We are building something together about mental wellness and mental health at large in that community. I shared with him and he shared with me what Subcar was all about and what Subcar was doing. And because of my creative superpower, I had to bring my creativity, running the business as though it's mine. I was handling 4 positions. Imagine you trying to come to a place to learn And then you are saddled with the responsibility of handling almost everything. He would come do the teaching. Sometimes I work on the content. I start asking myself, oh, why am I here? I'm just working and working. But guess what? I was learning quite a lot of things at the same time. After that, I pursued another degree and a lot of certifications along the line. But the major thing for me is that staying with Subcar really helped my growth. I met a lot of great people, and thank God I met you as well during the whole phase. And we have a way of missing each other. I'm very sure one day that I will see you physically. It will be a very great moment. What that helped me with is I learned quite a lot, and I understood it helped me understand the corporate system, how to intervene when it comes to business crisis, how to set structure and process, and how to get things done at large. When I, after that, after I think 4 or 5 years in Subcar, I launched my brand. I launched my brand. The name of my brand is called CRLH. We pay attention to leadership, lifestyle, and technology. That's what we do in Abuja. But our community, just like she rightly mentioned, we serve the old and the young in different communities. In fact, when we started on WhatsApp with just 10 people. And now we have our own physical space in Abuja.
Wow.
It means that while you're transitioning as well, you also need to pay attention to learning basic things. I learned structure, I
Yeah.
learned process, I learned customer relation. Remember, I mentioned I was doing quite a lot. Call,
Yeah.
I will be the one. Payment acknowledgement, I will be the one. Now I can handle any business from start to finish with the years of learning. So if I was reluctant then, just like some of us will be, why transitioning? Sometimes we just become indecisive, we just give up easily. But if I'm to tell about the results right now, I cannot quantify the people whose fragrance of my personality have affected because I've built capacity and I've built value over
Yeah.
the years. That's one thing transitioning has really helped me. My charge to every one of you here right now is number one, pay attention to mentorship. You always need a voice in your life. No one should trust anyone without a mentor. Who is leading you? Whose voice are you listening to? All right.
Yeah.
I always tell my people, I say, I cannot trust anyone who is not under authority. So if
Yeah.
no one can call you, if no one can say things to you that you are doing things in a certain way, it means you are not teachable and you are not able to evolve and grow. I didn't mind all the stress. Man, I was stressed. I was really, really stressed during the whole transitioning phase. And it's really helped me now. Dr. Messi can testify. There's no time you chat me for business that I will not respond to you. I will respond. Why? Because I've grown capacity in my early years to walk around the clock. Now, why I choose rest? I choose rest, relaxation, and all of that. But I am very proactive in my business, and I take my business as my personal assignment in life. I do not do it with any lackadaisical attitude. Whether you are my client or you are just a colleague, I give my best performance. That's one thing transitioning have helped me with.
Man, Tunde, this is like a
Let's go.
full master class on transitioning. There's something that you said, and I think it's important because for me, I think that has also helped me even through my journey. The fact that every point you find yourself in life, always use that opportunity to learn. Your attitude when you started working in Subcar, it could have been two ways. You could have said, I came here to learn. They're supposed to be providing information and knowledge to me. Why are they giving me all of this work? But that in itself was a reversed mentorship. The fact that
Exactly.
Coach Sam at the time trusted you, it was delegating things to you with authority. Do this thing because there was a trust. Today, when I listen to him talk about you, it's almost like this Tunde is a human being. Why are you making him sound like the best thing that happened after sliced bread? But that's because while you were growing under him, You had the right attitude. You were doing this work with the right attitude. Even though situations will not place us in the most favorable conditions, in transitioning, your attitude is important. Everything you have learned or everything you learned while you were in SOPCA, look at how it's playing out in your own firm today, where you are able to do things so effortlessly. In fact, there was one time I asked Tunde, I said, do you sleep at all? Because the time difference between the central time here and Nigeria is 7 hours. I'm texting this guy by 12 midnight my time, and he's responding sometimes like 2 a.m. his time. This guy's sleeping. But I working with him, I've come to understand that it is the discipline that you put into your work, your attitude. Your purpose is, I think your purpose, just like you said, trying to drive results, trying to help people, help to navigate the confusion, the not knowing what next to do, and all of that.